Okay, welcome back. And today we're going to learn how to make a set of low poly teeth, like you see here. Can use them in many things. This kind of looks like a plastic toy with the way it was rendered. But I've also used a similar process for the teeth that you see here in this character down here. And so you can use them in low poly characters. You can also use them for simple animations. If you wanted to have more detailed teeth, you might use a different process than this. But what I'm about to show you is a quick and easy way to give you some teeth that give you some decent detail, especially if the camera shots are going to be a little bit further away than right inside the mouth. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open Maya. And I'm just going to go ahead and lead you through setting up a standard project, just in case this is the first time you've used Maya or attempted to do a project in Maya. For everybody else, you can go to sleep for a second. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wait for it to finish opening. Then I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to go to Project Window and set my project. Click here on New. I'm going to call this Teeth 2 because I already have a couple other folders named Teeth. And I am going to put this in a folder where I would rather have it instead of just there. So my computer, I'm going to put it on a separate hard drive. And you can see, actually, I already have one named Teeth 2. So I'm going to pick this directory. I'm going to select it and call this Teeth 3. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and hit accept. Now I've created the project with its project folders. If I were to go to that project and click on the folder, you can see that I have all of my subfolders, and I also have the .mel, which is an indicator for this being a project folder. Now I'm going to set my project to that, to Teeth 3, set it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and save this empty scene right here to get my autosave started. So save scene as, and you can see it's Teeth under my scenes, and I'm just going to go ahead and call this Teeth 3. Okay. Now with all that done, what we're going to do is we're going to just start with a cylinder here. Zoom in a little bit on it. You can see just a nice simple cylinder. I'm going to hit W on my keyboard, move it up a little bit. Let's check to see how many. All right, so the subdivisions are at the default of 20. We're going to go ahead and leave it there. That'll give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments to start with. And that ought to be okay. One thing I want to do is go ahead and pause this for a second. All right, sorry about that. I don't know if you could hear my dog in the background, but he decided it was time to be a watchdog. So he was barking at people walking in the street. Awesome. All right, so now let's get back on our project. I turned my symmetry on just real quick because I want to make sure that which direction I'm in. Right now I've got Object X on, and you can see that I am in my X. Here's my center divider for my X. And as I pass over the lines, they go like that. Okay. So turn symmetry back off because I don't really need it on. I'm going to go to object mode, go down this way, and actually now I'm going to go to face mode. Select these faces. I just want to select the top and bottom faces. I do not want to select anything else. Okay. And I'm going to delete those. Okay. So now I've got that deleted. I'm going to go ahead and select the back half and delete those. And I'm going to select the left half and delete that as well. So now I am left with these 5 right here on this side. And I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to crunch them down a little bit. Kind of make them more teeth-like maybe. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D to duplicate, hit W on my keyboard to move them, and I'm going to move them up and kind of out of the way. This one right here is now called P cylinder 2. I'm going to double click that, call them gums, hit enter, because these will be our gums later on. And now I'm going to hit Control H to hide them. Just to get them out of my way, I will come back to those later. P cylinder 1, I am going to name this one upper teeth. Or actually, teeth upper. That way they stay together in the list. Alright, so these will become my upper teeth. Now with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recenter my tool onto my object. I double click here on the tool, the move tool, any of these. I can just hit reset and you'll see my gizmo now resets back into my faces here onto my object. Good enough. Close that for now. Alright, so Control E will allow us to go ahead and extrude this. I'm going to extrude it out a little ways. Now I played with rotating these and doing all kinds of things. It really kind of gets things off kilter. And what I'd rather do is just come back and push and pull some of the edges or the faces and just kind of shape it that way. So what I'm going to do now is just that. I'm going to go ahead and leave it that way. I might pull this back a little bit more to give me some room. But first I'm going to hit quit. So Q on my keyboard to quit. I'm going to go to object mode real quick. And I'm going to now, so object mode, right click and hold your mouse, go to object mode. Now I'm going to go up to mesh display and reverse it. See, it was inside out. That's what the black faces represent down here. When we were first looking at it, it was all black. Now when we turn it inside out, or right side out rather, it becomes kind of this grayish color. So now it's reversed in the direction it's supposed to be. Because when we extruded it, we actually pushed it back on itself and caused the faces to be inside out. All right, what I'm going to do now is go back to face. I'm going to select that face. And with this plane here, see the little green square? These are our X, Y, and Z axes. If we pull by that, I could push straight back with this as well. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull back. You can also do the same thing with the plane, and it allows you to kind of keep it a little bit straighter as well. All right, so that gave us a little bit more depth in our teeth so that we can add some molars here. I don't know if we want to put 32 teeth in the mouth. They get a little small and kind of strange, but we could. So make sure we have enough space for that, and we're going to add some edge loops. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to add a little bit of size to our front tooth first. So I'm going to go to edge mode, double click, and if I hold Control Shift at the same time, I can slide that vertex along and just push it down. There we go. Okay. Give us a little bit of width on our front tooth, maybe too much. So I'm going to pull it back just a little bit, I think. Maybe like right there. All right, so now the side teeth are a little bit narrower. So I'm going to double click there again and select those loops. And again, hold Control Shift, and I'm going to slide along this edge here, narrow that in a little bit. I think I'm going to put an edge loop in here. So if I right click, hold to object mode, hold down Shift, right click my mouse button and hold, insert edge loop tool. Now I'm going to put it right there. Just go ahead and give myself enough space to kind of make that look about the same size as these here. And with that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may want to add one more, but first I'm going to quit the tool by hitting Q on my keyboard, go back to edge, double click, Control Shift, whoops, I want W for my move, Control Shift. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide it back a little bit more, give myself another tooth there. And I might actually just kind of give it a little bit larger size and then have that as my molar. Okay, so we could add more teeth if we want, but I think that's probably good enough for now. Now I do want to see how this edge is lining up because I want it to be more perpendicular to this line right here, or more parallel. Depends on the reference, I suppose, that you're looking at. So I'm going to go for the top down, and we're going to take a look here. And my feeling is I have totally grabbed this on the wrong axis, so let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, this is my side X here. And what I want to do is I want to grab that back edge and bring it parallel to the lines. So go ahead and just click it once, and I'm going to push it in a little bit so that it's just behind there. And then if I go back to my top view, I think that's what I've got right now. Should be fairly parallel. Okay, so now we have the first setting of our teeth. If I were to hit 3, it does this really weird kind of, it more looks like a mouth guard than actually teeth, so I'm not quite ready to do that yet. We got to add some more definition to our teeth and give it a little bit more more shape. And we also need to add some more edge loops. So I'm going to go to object mode. Again, hold down shift, right click, and let me hit Q for quit. Try that again. Right click or shift, hold down my right click. Not so much. Try that again. There we go. And now we've got my edge loops. So what I want to do is I want to add one that goes pretty close to the top here. So I'm going to do this. Kind of like right there. And maybe like right there. And I'm going to put in one on the end here. Wrong spot. There we go. One towards the end. One towards the end here. All right, so now kind of mouth shaped. I may need to bring this in a little bit more, but we'll see how that looks as we move forward. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to create the some edge loops that allow me to put sort of a definition between the teeth. If we take a look at this picture here, you can see how I've kind of defined these teeth, and I also was able to pull in to create this kind of a line between the teeth to define each individual tooth. So what we're going to do is follow this process by putting some more edge loops in, kind of close to each other here, just enough apart to give us a little bit of definition. And they don't have to be perfect, just in the general area. Go ahead and do that. There. 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 I'm going to fix that first one. We also have to remember when we're modeling the level of detail that we need to get into based off of what's going to be seen in our animation. If we go to a high level detail on our teeth, and that part of the character is rarely ever seen other than just maybe the first few teeth in the mouth because of a distance from the camera, then we don't need to really get into some super heavy detail and add a lot of polygons for the back part of the mouth, which is never seen. Okay, so now I've got my lines in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now go to my vertices. First, I'm going to hit Q on my keyboard and then W. What I want to do is I want to now start to pull these bottom center ones up a little bit. And we may also want to grab these extra ones on the outside here to kind of give a little bit more rounding to the tooth. It just kind of depends on what you're going for with your teeth. So I can tell I already missed there. I selected too many. So I'm just going to hold my shift key and unselect those two. I'm going to pull up a little bit. If I hit 3 on my keyboard, I can kind of see the effect I've got going here. And that might be what I want. Go back to 1, just to make sure that we grab these correctly when we grab them. It's important when you're modeling to go back and forth between 3 and 1. One thing we don't want to do is do something in our smooth view and cause problems in the model to begin with when we unsmooth it. We could cause these to cross over on each other, and then they would basically be reversed, which would be an issue for the model. You may not necessarily see it in the smooth viewport, but it's definitely something that would cause some overall issues. And it's coming on okay. Okay, let's see here. All right, just a couple more to do. Finish these up. All right, let's see. We can also do the same thing for the back section here. Again, not probably something that would be seen, but we didn't actually add any geometry to it, and that back one didn't really take all that long. Now here, this is the front tooth. This is going to be the gap between the front teeth. So we do want to make sure that we get a similar process for this. And we'll have to come back and adjust it anyway, and also probably do the next step for it, which is I'm going to squeeze these in a little bit to give us that effect on the teeth. So now let's go ahead and go to edge mode. I'm going to select that one. Okay. And we're going to switch this to a normal. So if I double click on the tool here again, and see how the orientation of my gizmo is to world, and when I go to normal, it's actually the move gizmo will probably disappear. But it's not the move normal I want. I want the scale tool. So if I hit R and I go to normal, you can see that it reshapes, it repositions itself. So now that it's along the same axis as this line is right here. So what I want to do is I want to squeeze it in so that I can give myself some definition. And again, I can come in here to the 1 mode. And if I go back to 3, I can kind of see what my definition is looking like. The reason why we want to make sure that our pivot point is along the same axes as our normal in this case, which is our edge, is because if we didn't, and I can show that here, if we didn't, of course this one's lined up right. Let me see, maybe this one. See how it's kind of off kilter. If I went ahead and squeezed it, see how it kind of pulls it sideways and it just gives it this really bad deformed look. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and straight. So all right, so that one's on a normal, so let's see if changing this is going to help us any. We may actually have to edit the pivot. let's go ahead and edit this pivot. So by edit pivot, it's going to allow me to now change the way my gizmo lines up here. Okay. And I can change my pivot point. There we go. Clicking on it, I was able to align it. Let's see what that did for us. Let's see if that I think did what we wanted it to do. Go ahead and oops. Try that again. All right. All right, it's only allowing us to do the one side. Not that it's going to be really seen on the back side, but for sake of detail, in this case, because the viewer might be looking inside the mouth, you'd be more likely to see that. So I could probably squeeze that in a little bit by pushing that in. And then going back. There we go. Not as great as detail as I wanted, but it's not too bad. All right, and then try this here. Back to normal. And that one seems to be okay. It's a little off, but I think it'll be all right. Okay, so now we've got all of those set. We haven't done this one here, but I'd rather wait until we actually had the other tooth over here to allow us to do that. Okay, so far I think we're moving along. I'm going to go back to object mode, shrink these down a little bit more. This front tooth may just be way too big, but it might be all right. The other thing I want to do, I think, is try to thin the front teeth and the side tooth there just out a little bit because they're a little bit thinner in the front. So let's go to, let's try face mode here. What I want to do is select Q to quit the tool so I can easily select the stuff I want to select here. May have wanted to have done this before we crush the side, but we'll see how that works. I think that works all right. Do the same here. Again, that one's off. Now with the move tool, we can't do normal. See, it goes away. Object isn't any better, so this may be where I want to edit the tool here a little bit, kind of bring it around. And now I'll go ahead and pull it forward just a little bit. And I'm going to feel like I have to do something here. All right. Go back to edge mode, and we can fix this real quick. I think that's a little better. Okay, and it gave us a little bit of thinness there. Now I do also want to add some definition, so let's go back to face. And similar issue here. Try to Now that's one way to do it. Another way that we could have done this is if I go here, I can also grab this plane tool, and I can grab the plane tool a little bit and then just kind of move where the face goes without having to worry about being lined up straight. Okay. I'm trying to give it tooth just a little bit more thickness at this point right here. A little bit more roundness towards the top. So it's not so flat looking. Okay. All right, and now if we take a look, we can see that kind of got that happening. And we're still going to have to fix this side of the tooth here because you can see how it's shaped here. That is the start. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back to 1, make sure everything's looking okay. All right, I'm going to select these faces. I'm going to delete these faces here. And now go to object mode. And what I want to do is I want to mirror my mesh. So I'm going to go here to mesh, option box. I'm going to go X in the negative. I believe I'm still in the X. Negative and merge the vertices world. Let's go ahead and hit apply. And I'm on the wrong side. I knew that. All right, so what I want to do is, this is, okay, I'm going to go ahead and bear with me for a second. Okay, so I got a little bit lost for a second there. I thought I was on my x-axis, and when I must have looped it around, I lost my direction inside. That's okay. We can still do this mirroring, and what it actually is right here. This is the Z. You see how we have the different axes we can go through. We also have plus and minus for our directions. So what this turns out to be is the Z plus side. So we're going to go ahead and hit mirror. And now I have my Z. And like I said, right here, we're going to have to come in. We're going to have to make a little bit of modifications on the front. It looks like it's carried over just a little bit. So we can smooth it out and see what we've got. Not as much of an indent as I think we should have for the front teeth. Certainly not front and back. And we're also kind of bent a little bit. So I think what I want to do is go ahead and close this. And let's see here. Okay, I'm going to reset my pivot points. I'm going to go to my edge. I'm going to go ahead and select that. It may not go all the way around. It's okay. Looks like we got that time. All right, so first what I want to do is I want to kind of move it so I can kind of straighten this part of the mouth out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to need to grab it by the vertices to do that. Select all those vertices. We're just going to push everything back just a little bit. Kind of straighten it out a little bit. So it kind of looks about normal. All right. Not too bad. Now we're going to go ahead and go to edge and R. It looks like it's pretty straight. So we're going to push this in a little bit, kind of give us that indent that we want. We also may want to do something with this, but we'll take a look in a second. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and grab these center ones here. Let's try it again. Should we have them? Okay. W, and I'm going to pull them up just a little bit more, give it more of a gap in the front there. Okay, so now I think for the most part we have the top teeth. Okay. All right, got top teeth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Pull them down a little bit. And using the channel box, I'm going to rotate them. Let's see here. Should be the x-axis, 180 degrees, so that now the teeth are coming together. You can move them up just a little bit. There we go. And reset the pivot point. All right, so now what we want to do is go ahead and offset our teeth just a little bit, and so that they're not perfectly aligned. See how we got these lines here? And also they're exactly the same size. In the human mouth, this is not the case. The teeth in the front, the top teeth are larger than the bottom teeth. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale everything down just a little bit. Move it down. Give us a smaller scale. Move it back just a little bit because we have the top teeth hanging over the bottom teeth. Just a little bit. Right. Getting there. We may want to take these front teeth eventually and also squeeze them down a little bit. All right, so with that, now let's go ahead and let's see if our symmetry works. Now remember, we're on object Z, so I'm going to go to edge, make sure I am on the right teeth. And there we go, object Z. So now with the symmetry, this will help things go a little bit faster. I am going to go back to 1, go to my vertices, and what I want to do is I want to select all these vertices here. Make sure they're selected on both sides. Go to my move tool, hold Control Shift, and that was not planned. Control Shift, slide it just a little bit. That's good. Let's go ahead and do this a different way. Okay, it's not going to move evenly. So, let's see. Alright, so instead of holding down the Control Shift button, let's just try sliding this. Now we got to be very careful when we slide it. Yeah, that seems to be it. The Control Shift, it just wanted to snap it, and because we're in object mode, or in symmetry, that may be what was causing some of our problems. I want to try to now make these teeth a little bit more even in size with each other down here on the bottom. And we're going to do that again over here now. And I'm going to go ahead and maybe easier to slide this along the plane. Just got to be careful to try to keep it lined up where you want it. And if we go there, that may help us vision it better. Imagine what we're doing. Okay. Try this again. Also, see I'm moving the gaps so they're not lined up anymore. Although, let's see here. Maybe a little bit further with that one. Okay. And do the same over here. Okay. I'm going to grab this one and probably pull it. You know, I'll go this way. Move it that way. Just keep the alignment from being perfectly on. And this one I'm going to leave alone. Yeah. Do that. Okay, so now if I go to object mode, should be fairly even. And maybe the gap is too much here. Also, it seems like these teeth maybe could be rounded a little bit more. So that may be something I want to do real quick. Go to the face mode as I move along and kind of pull them up just a little bit more on both top and bottom. Maybe squeeze them just a little bit in so that there's more gap there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish doing some of that. I'm gonna give it a little bit more detail by pulling some of these faces up and doing a little bit of fine tuning on the shape of the tooth, perhaps along the top and the edges. So in our next video, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go back to the gums and make them visible. One thing we do want to do is rename this real quick to teeth lower. And so that's it for this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe and come back and join me so we can finish them up by adding some gums. And subscribe to my channel, please, and I will talk to you all later.